Thank you. Mr. Reichert.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Werfel, isn't it true that 100% of Tea Party applications were flagged for extra scrutiny?
I think that, yes, the framework from the BOLO. Yeah, it's my understanding of the way the process worked is if there was Tea Party in the application, it was automatically moved into this area of further review, yes.
Okay, and do you know how many progressive groups were flagged?
I do not have that number.
I do.
Okay.
Our investigation shows that there were 7 flagged. Do you know how many were approved?
I do not have that number at my fingertips.
All of those applications were approved. I want to follow up on some questioning that occurred a little bit earlier in the hearing regarding intent. So I'm an old cop, 33 years. Most of that time I was a homicide investigator. So we dealt a lot with criminal intent. And so when you use the word intentional or unintentional, it sort of is a flag for me to inquire a little bit further. So are you talking about criminal intent? Are you finding that there's no criminal intent, or are you saying that there's no intent to what?
The questions that are being asked by investigators deal with both criminal intent and other types of intent, which, for example, could mean political bias, but no criminal intent. I mean, there's gradations here. I'm not a legal expert on them, but I know that part of the ongoing review is to understand the nature and circumstances of this.
So I also know that there are 2 investigations that occur, just like there were in the sheriff's office when I was the sheriff in Seattle. You have the criminal investigation that's ongoing, and then you have an internal investigation. Sometimes we know the internal investigation is put to the side while the criminal investigation continues on. Are you in contact with those that are conducting the criminal investigation? Are they making you aware of the information that they're finding as far as any possible criminal allegations with any of the employees within the Internal Revenue Service?
My main point of contact in this effort is Russell George, the Inspector General, and his team. He's working directly with the Justice Department. They give us periodic updates on their progress.
Do you have any information that there may be some criminal
None such evidence has been shared with me at this time.
So to get back to the intent part, your report states that some applicants were subjected to overly burdensome, intrusive questions, questionnaires, and data requests that went way beyond the acceptable level of fact-finding, but yet at the same time, it says that none of the actions taken by the IRS employees were intentional. I don't understand that, how you can ask those questions, provide those questionnaires, asking for certain data, but yet be unintentional in conducting that sort of activity. Tea Party members had a donor had been threatened. Some donors had been threatened. They had confidential information that had been leaked. They were sent inappropriate and intrusive questions. Unintentional threatening of donors. I don't understand unintentional in that light either. And so I sort of am falling in line with what Mr. Brady said, is that the report, I understand your desire to be a public servant, you want to do the right thing, but in order for you to do that, Mr. Werfel, and for the American public to have trust in you and the IRS again, you've got to be, you can't be vague and misleading in your statement that you've given to this committee. You say that even after senior IRS leadership was informed of the inappropriate activities in question, it failed both to effectively put an end to the activity and to inform the proper committees in Congress in a timely fashion, despite requests from Congress on this topic. So I don't understand how your leadership could be found to be unintentional in their not reporting to Congress. Mr. Miller sat here and conveniently lost his memory during his questioning. So could you explain to me unintentional? It makes no sense to me, and I'm sure it makes no sense to the American public.
Let me offer my best explanation. First, I want to go back to the point that we're hearing questions from taxpayers. They want to know if there was intentional wrongdoing here. We're answering that question very carefully and saying there's more work that needs to be done, but right now we don't have evidence.
Mr. Werfel, you really can't say that there was that it was unintentional, is my point.
Let me
you should not be saying in your you should not be saying in your report that you found that this was unintentional? Because you don't know. You don't know.
And that's basically what we're
Is that
saying.
true?
There's no evidence.
You don't know. There's
But
no evidence.
Let me make the point about
So
the
why
word
did you
intentional.
say it was unintentional?
Let me offer.
No,
an
why did you
explanation.
say it was unintentional when you don't know? You
I
just said you
well,
don't know.
I did not say that it was unintentional.
Time has expired,
I
Mr.
said-
Werfel. Why don't you answer briefly, and then we'll go on.
Okay, first of all, let me clarify what I said. I said very clearly in the report that more work needs to be done to review documents, to interview folks, but at this point we don't have any evidence of intentional wrongdoing. And what we meant by that is that it's a different situation if a manager thinks and an employee thinks this is the right thing to do, this is how I'm supposed to conduct my business, and they could be mistaken, and they could be incompetent, and it could be total mismanagement in how they think they are appropriately carrying out their duties, which is different than them saying, I know this is wrong, but I'm going to do it anyway because I have a particular agenda in mind. And that's the difference that we're trying to distinguish. I agree.
All right, thank you.